Vince, are you ready for rapid fire?
I'm always ready for rapid fire. Let's do this.
Do it. Okay, so we know what the Bush push is just by saying those two words. We know exactly what happened. Bush push. Where will 4th and 16 rank 18 years from now? And of course, I said 18 years because it's been 18 years since Bush push.
You know, it's funny because, see, and it's going to totally ruin my point. But the play right before the 2 plays right before the Bush push was 4th and what? 20 something? Do you remember?
That's true. That's true.
And I can't remember.
It was 4th and long. I can't remember.
It was long.
Yeah.
It was long. And if they don't hit that, there is no Bush push, right? And so I remember that play almost better than the Bush push. I remember that whole sequence at the end, right? The long throw to Jarrett, and then the swing around to the outside with the ball flying in the air, thinking the game was over, and then the Bush push. Everybody calls it the Bush push, right? So I digress because the question is a good one. I don't know, man. The Bush push just has such a better ring to it than 4th and 16. So, you know what I mean?
I know.
It just does.
There's no catchy name.
No.
There's no catchy name. Even though it was prime time, it was still Duke. Like if you had, again, if you flipped it and it was against Ohio State, I think maybe it's a little bit different. I think it is definitely, I think it's one that, like, because we were there, we were watching, we follow it so closely, it's one that we'll remember. To me, though, like 4th and 16, even though it wasn't the play that scored the winning touchdown, it seems like the more miraculous play as opposed to even a 30-yard touchdown run from Audric Estime, who had been, again, bottled up all night.
No, there's no doubt. Like if there's a play to remember from this game, it's the Hartman 4th and 16. There's no doubt about that. Like the only thing the Hartman hustle. There you go.
Hartman hustle.
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad.
Ryan,
I was thinking
Hartman dash and gash.
More like the Duke debacle. Like that's how that game felt until the very last second.
Yeah.
The Duke rebuke by Mr. 2.0. That's not bad. The Bush push, though, man, like that's iconic, and everybody in the country knows what the Bush push is. And this game does not hold a candle to that. It just doesn't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I'll still remember it because of what like you said, I'll still remember it, but it won't. It doesn't even come close for me.
Yep. Michael said 4th and 9. See, like it's like a fishtail, I guess. Over the years, it becomes longer, right? Seemed longer than 4th and 9.
I feel like it was like 4th and 19 or 20 something, but
see,
I have to go back and look.
It's a fishtail, Vince. You're making it out to be more than it was. So
yeah, you're not wrong.
After the win, Marcus Freeman said that maybe Audric Estime shouldn't have scored the game-winning touchdown. Maybe he should have gone down at the 1-yard line, taken a knee, use some clock, kick a field goal. Here's what Marcus Freeman said.
We were drawing it up to really run the ball, get the clock down, call timeout, and kick the game-winning field goal. And it's a great coaching point because we practiced that we probably should go down, right? And people will go, hey, don't take points off the board. You probably should go down right there at the 1-yard line, kick a 1-yard field goal, and obviously longer than a 1-yard field goal, kick a field goal from the 1-yard line, and win the game that way. And so, great teaching opportunities. But man, I'm glad. He scored. I'm glad he scored, and I'm glad we won.
All right, Vince, buy or sell the strategy Marcus Freeman was outlining there.
I mean, logically, I guess I get it. I get where he's coming from. But being as close as I am to a kicker and like the kicking process, you know what I mean? Like I have studied the snap, the hold, like how long it needs to take to get off, and there are so many different things that I never even really realized that has to go right for even an extra point to go through. You know what I mean? I'm not leaving that sucker to chance, man. Like maybe dance around at the 1 for a little while, like maybe run horizontal to the goal line for a little bit, but you got to score that touchdown, man. Like I understand where he's coming from a logical standpoint, but I'm selling this all day because you take the points you take the points, man. Take it.
Was Was anyone not dreading the possibility that game, it's a 1-point game. Was anyone not dreading the possibility that Schrader was going to have to come on the field and try to kick a game-winning field goal? Did anyone, show of hands, did anyone want to see that?
Nope.
And again, that's what, Estime houses that thing. I will take that 10 out of 10. I will take that 100 out of 100. I wanted no part of seeing Schrader is 4 for 9 kicking field goals this season. He had a miss earlier. He has missed the last 2 weeks now. And, like that's someone who's got to get his stuff figured out. You've got to have a reliable kicker because, again, you're playing 2 ranked teams who are undefeated over the next 2 weeks, unless USC gets upset by Arizona this weekend. I don't really see that happening, but
no.
This is nothing personal against Sam Schrader or Spencer Schrader. I've got no faith in him.
You got to take the confidence. Like, what's your confidence level? 7 running into the end zone or 32 kicking a short field goal?
The two guys I trust the most on this team are the 2 guys who made the plays.
Correct.
The last 2 plays offensively.
Correct.
Hartman and Audric Estime. Those are the 2 guys. Like, I would have Sam Hartman run out there and try to do a Doug Flutie and drop kick it through the goalpost before I'd have Schrader, I think, at this point. Again, it's nothing personal. He seems like a nice enough kid and all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line is 4 for 9, and he had just missed earlier. You got to get to, and obviously, like if you look at the other end of it as well, Duke didn't have any more confidence in their kicker with that pooch kick that they decided to do. I still think if I were them, as close as they were, I would have at least attempted the kick, because if he happens to make it, then at least you make Notre Dame have to score a touchdown rather than a field goal can beat you at the other end. But, that's for Duke and Mike Elko to figure out.
Oh, you're talking about when they pooched it?
The pooch punt. Yeah.
Well, I mean, how much faith did you have in their field goal kicker?
That's what I just, but again,
he missed 2 easier ones.
But you've got nothing to lose by. But you've got nothing to lose by at least trying it, right? But again,
well, yeah, because you get the ball at the 20, right? Or no, is that high school rules?
Yeah, I guess rules? That's the only thing. Yeah, you would get it at the 20, so they would have gained some field position out of it, and they were able to get down there and down it, and they obviously pinned Notre Dame deep, but.
It's
Notre Dame.
I don't have a problem. Yeah, I mean we can rehash Elko's decision, but I was not wanting them to kick a field goal, and not once while Audric Estime was running the ball in that particular play was all that go down, kick the field. Like, that was never in my lexicon of vocabulary. It was, yes, we're scoring a touchdown, and then I was like, oh crap, there's 31 seconds left, but still, go score that touchdown. Because nothing about Duke's offense makes me think they could have gone the length of the field in 31 seconds, even with 3 timeouts, because the way that they were moving the ball was quarterback runs and, things of that nature.
Look at what happened to them as soon as things blew up and they had to throw the football. Look at what happened.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I had no faith in Duke having to go the length of the field in 31 seconds, even with 3 timeouts. Like, there was still a piece of me that was nervous. Don't get me wrong. But if you put the strategy in and you're looking at it from all angles, right, it's okay. I feel pretty good about Notre Dame being up a touchdown when they got that 2-point conversion. They're up 7. I felt really good about pinning them deep and making them go the length of the field.
Tyler wants to know if we think the back-to-back physical games against Duke and Ohio State affect the Louisville game.
I mean, they're not injured, right? I mean, they had a couple of injuries, but they weren't because of the Ohio State game, for the Duke game, and now those guys are back. So they're last time I checked, outside of Matt Salerno and Deion Colsey, they're 100% healthy, right? So that's what you worry about from a physical game. There's no
Gobira. Gobira's out.
Okay. But I mean, I think they're going to be fine. They just have to do the proper, I mean, you've got to recuperate and you got to do it correctly. And there's all kinds of science and there's all kinds of things that they're doing and IVs and all this, they're going to be fine. the bigger issue is 8 games in 8 weeks. I mean, that's the bigger issue, and not necessarily the physicality of one team or another. It's still football.
Yeah. And this is 7. Yeah, this is going to be the 7th straight game that they played.
Right.
And then, of course, they got to get to USC for number 8 before they get the bye. And that's, plus, by the way, midterms are next week as well.
Yeah, I mean, we know USC won't be a physical game, but they'll have to do a lot of running.
Yeah. I mean, and I agree with what you're saying. I think that they've got enough. Because that was something that Marcus Freeman was talking about today as well. He was talking about the GPS and knowing which guys have maybe got to take it a little bit easier at different points in the week, which guy, all that different kind of stuff. There's all kinds of data that he said that he gets and he looks at so that he can make those kind of calls on who needs what and what kind of treatment and all these different things. I think that, so I think from that aspect, I don't think that necessarily those 2 back-to-back games like that will have a major impact,
right?
Because, like you said, they're doing pretty well, knock on wood, from an injury standpoint.
Yeah, for sure.
Fill in the blank. Notre Dame's special teams are blank.
It's October, right? So I'm going to go with scary. They're scary right now. I mean, you got the muffed punt, you got the missed field goals, or punt return, the missed field goals.
What was Chris Tyree doing on that play?
Did you hear Marcus Freeman's explanation today? Like, it was an interesting explanation. He kind of, once again, because it's Marcus Freeman, he took the blame. I guess the punt return previously, Chris Tyree fair caught it. And Marcus Freeman went up to him afterwards and was like, hey, stay aggressive, man. Stay aggressive. And so on the very next one, he was trying to, quote, save them yards. That's what he told Marcus Freeman. He's like, I was trying to save us some yards. I thought I could get on it, catch it on the bounce.
By picking it up off the ground. That's like as soon as that ball hits,
Basically, yes. He didn't want to see it roll, another 10 or 15 yards. And so Marcus Freeman's like, yeah, I get it. I get where he's coming from. He's like, we can't do that. He goes, I get where his head was. And he goes, sometimes I got to keep my mouth shut. I told him to be more aggressive, and that's what happened. So he took the blame, but Chris Tyree's got to know better. It's got to know better. Like, stay away, man. Peter, get away. Get away from it.
I mean, there have really been 2 good special teams plays this year. The Onyé
punt. Oh, yeah.
The Onyé block of the field goal.
Sure.
And the fake punt the other night.
Yeah.
Other than that,
haven't had a lot of great returns. Haven't really threatened on many blocks. The punt game. The punt game has been good. I have not had an issue with the punt game. The kicking game has not been great.
Yeah.
How about that? There's the bright spot. The punting game. I think McPherson has done well.
Yeah.
Should have had him at the 1 yard line.
I mean, there was going to be, when you had the kind of season that Brian Mason gave him last year.
Yeah, this is a big hill to
there was going to be a step back, but at the same time, it has just been much shakier than I would have thought it was going to be. Much shakier.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
And again, when you've got you've got a special teams coach who's got a kicking background, and you've got a kicker, an experienced kicker that you brought in that you thought was going to be this great asset, but he hasn't been an asset.
No, he hasn't.
And
it's disappointing.
It's like tin cup, just lay up every once in a while. It doesn't have to be spectacular. You don't have to
just put it through the uprights, man.
Consistency. Make a 35-yarder,
Yep. No doubt about it. Just get it through, man. It's all. Yep. I mean, look, and like you said, that was a great example. Was the tin cup thing? There's been times, and I don't mean to keep bringing it back to my kid, but there was one, he missed a kick at one point, and then he had an extra point to hit, and he didn't boom it. You know what I mean? He just put it through the uprights, man. That's all you got to do. And it was like a half kick, but it was right down the middle because he took some off of it. It's like there's no point in trying to kick it into the scoreboard or something crazy, man. You just got to get the points. Like, that's what matters here. So. Yeah. So
James says not one single. Okay. Yeah. Like they haven't blocked one. And, look, last year was an aberration. Like,
it was.
Obviously, Brian Mason was able to see things on film that he could go out and they could attack, and they had a feeling when they were going to be able to get one. We hadn't seen that many block punts in a combined, probably 20 years or something, 20 plus years.
You can't expect that.
Yeah. But, Biaggi was a guy who his units had blocked some punts from time to time. And I think that we thought that they might at least come close, but we haven't seen that either.
It's disappointing for sure.
Yeah. And I think that that's probably the word. Disappointing overall. They'd made a couple plays, but overall, I think it's been a letdown so far.
Yeah. Agreed.
Scale of 1 to 10, what is your confidence that ACC officials will ever get a call right?
I'll tell you what, man. Like, every week, the bar, it's set lower, basically. It's like the ACC officials for this week, watched the game last week. They're like, hold my beer.
Yep.
Like, here we go. You know what I mean? Like, Notre Dame got the apology from the ACC this week about the overturn of the punt at the 1 yard line. Like, oh yeah, we messed up. Can't review that.
That's just inexcusable.
But what does that do?
If you're in the replay booth,
right,
you've got to know what you can and can't review.
Seriously.
And for them not to know, and even the rules analyst guy, when they first came back and they overturned it, he's like, oh yeah, blah blah blah, and here's what's got to happen, and blah. And then when they figured out that it wasn't reviewable and they start talking about it, he's like, oh yeah, that's right, they shouldn't have been able to review. You're a freaking former official.
You're the expert.
None of these guys knew it on the spot.
Yes, you are paid to be the expert, and you messed it up too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just bad. It's just bad. Like, really, really bad. I don't know. The Big Ten officials weren't much better against Ohio State. The
True.
ACC officials have been bad. So, I just haven't seen good officiating in a Notre Dame game. And I'm not saying that it's just against Notre Dame. Like, these officials are making bad calls both ways. Now, it was more Notre Dame leaning this past game, granted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists that's like, oh, the ACC officials are always against Notre Dame. I just think they're bad. I just think they're bad officials, to be honest with you. And it's an epidemic across football. So, it was really bad.
Picking up that pass interference, and I texted you guys, I think, after the fact, when they picked up that pass interference flag, because they were saying it was uncatchable. Well, if there's no pass interference, I think it's a heck of a lot more catchable ball because he impeded Meriwether from being able to get close to the ball. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. No, I agree with that. I do. I understand why they picked it up because it was kind of a throwaway ball, but you can't just stand in front of him and not let him come through.
Right.
That's pass interference.
It only bounced maybe 5 yards from him by the time it hit the ground.
And it only bounced once, and he caught it on the bounce.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah.
And
it's just bad.
Like the whole Botello thing, because I've seen a lot of people complaining about the Botello call. You obviously don't see that very often, but if you tackle with the crown of your helmet, they changed that targeting rule a couple years ago, that anytime you tackle with the crown of your helmet, it's targeting, regardless of where you hit someone.
So it was the right call.
To me, it's a little bit like giving a ticket for like a motorcycle rider not wearing a helmet. It's like you're protecting him from himself.
Correct.
Kind of thing. But, again,
you shouldn't be suspended for that.
Exactly. Technically, they called it right. But if you're not actually targeting the person you're hitting, you should not, the ejection piece, or at least the, like you have to stay out for the next half thing, that should not come with it. It should just be a 15-yard penalty.
Yes.
But
agreed.
Technically they called it right, as dumb as it may seem.
Correct. Yes. But the stupid thing is they called it because they're trying to protect Botelho, but now he can't play. Like that part of it makes zero sense.
Tim says, is the spear call gone now? It's not called spearing anymore. It's just targeting if you tackle with the top of your helmet. So, DK, how many defenders target a runner's arm to dislodge the ball?
Not with the crown.
Not with the crown. Like you can do it with your face mask. You just can't do it with the crown anymore.
Right. And look, it happens every game. We know this, but it's not supposed to.
Right. Fill in the blank. It's blank that after losing to Ole Miss Saturday night, Brian Kelly blamed youth and inexperience, saying, quote, "There's nobody else walking through that door."
Oh, that was just like I saw the snippet clip. I think, did I send it to you or did you send it to me or we just both saw it? I don't even know. But it was about a 4-second clip where he's like, we're just so youthful and there's nobody walking through that door. It was hilarious. And then I watched the entire press conference, about 10 minutes. And it is worth your time, Sean Stiers, because he said there was nothing wrong with the defensive play calling. And they gave up 55 points.
Mm-hmm.
But there was nothing wrong with the defensive play calling. And he's like, we have to execute better. You know, we got to do this better. Like, totally throwing the entire team under the bus and none of his coaches, which I thought was fantastic. You know what he complained about? The offense. He complained about the offense who scored 49 points in that game.
Right.
Like, it's just so... I mean, they gave up over
711 yards.
Yes. Like, come on, man. Just call it how it is. Why do you have to come back with all these Kellyisms? Like, you know what? Marcus Freeman could lose the rest of the games this year, and I'd still be happy that he was the coach. Like, that's honestly how I feel.
The last time I checked, LSU entered the season with the Heisman Trophy candidate at quarterback.
Yeah.
After the year that Daniels had last year. And he's talking about inexperience. And he went to LSU because I thought you were able to recruit all this young talent, all these young studs, and it didn't matter how young they were because they were so talented. They were going to come in and play and bail you out. I mean, he's starting some young guys, but he's got a lot of experience out there on the field as well.
But who makes the plays for Notre Dame right now? There's a bunch of freshmen making plays for Notre Dame.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't tell me that freshmen can't make plays. Don't go in there and tell me about the youth. Like, how often did we have to hear about the youth of the offensive line a couple of years ago? Like, that was the dumbest excuse I've ever heard because they were all a bunch of juniors.
And they weren't young. They were juniors. They just hadn't played.
Right. They were inexperienced, but they weren't young. Like, it just...
There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse. It's never his fault.
You know what the best part about this whole thing is there's LSU fans that have been private messaging Brian and apologizing to him.
Really?
Yes.
I hadn't heard that.
Yes. Multiple.
Wow. After all that stuff a year ago. All it took, I mean, we knew it was just going to take a little time for him to find out. We knew.
Right. Just fantastic.
Yeah. They thought they were getting Vince Lombardi down there in the Bayou.
Yes, they did. Who just couldn't win because he's over at that, Ivy League school. Can't win. They don't have a chef. We do.
Fill in the blank. The Toy Story broadcast of Sunday's Falcons-Jaguars game on ESPN Plus and Disney was blank.
It's entertaining. First of all, I was forced to watch it because it was the only way I could watch the game. Because I have Disney Plus, I don't have ESPN Plus.
Oh, okay.
So it was the only way I could watch the game.
An interesting way to watch the game if you actually want to watch the game, but you don't have any other means.
It was the only way for me to watch the game, and it was Sunday morning, and I was like, "Oh, there's football on." And I was like,
"It was like a video game of little miniature guys running around out there on the field."
I was impressed with the technology, to be perfectly honest. They did I saw like after the fact, they did like a side-by-side of the real game and like the Toy Story game. And it was like, it was right on. I guess they put like chips in the shoulder pads.
Yeah. So they could track them. Did you see like the video on Twitter where they had like the side-by-side of the actual play and then showing what they were showing that?
Pretty spot on. And the broadcast was meant to teach people about football. Like they were talking about how to get a first down and, you know, stuff like that. And so I thought, look, I would have rather watched the regular version of the game, obviously. Okay. But for what it was, I thought it was a really cool way to introduce football to younger kids. I thought it was really cool, to be honest.
That's what it's meant for. Just like
It
the
was out of the
Nickelodeon
box.
slime games and stuff. And
Yeah.
they're gonna do the Nickelodeon, alternate broadcast, I think, of the Super Bowl and a playoff game or something again this year. I mean,
they're thinking outside the box for the younger generation. I think it was cool, honestly.
We're obviously not the target demographic for that. Now, you kind of fit in there a little bit because you've got kids in that. Like, did any of your kids actually sit and watch it with you, or was it just you watching Toy Story game?
They were kind of in and out, but they were asking me, like, what are you watching? And I would tell them, and they were like, oh, that's kind of cool. And they would see the different Toy Story characters and, stuff like that. So they were kind of into it, to be honest with you, until they realized they were watching football. But, like I said, if it's an alternate broadcast, I dig it because they're trying to get other kids, other people involved, and the technology was actually pretty impressive. Now, there was some glitches, here and there, and it was kind of obvious, but I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. How about that?
You texted me and you're like, hey, are you watching the Toy Story thing? And I'm like, nope. You're like, you should check it out. We can talk about it in rapid fire. And I'm like, so fortunately, I've got the ESPN Plus. So I was like making lunch and I pulled it up on my phone. And that was a drawback to me is I could only watch it on my phone. I'm not a kid, who watches everything on their phone.
Fair.
And I've got big screen TVs for a reason. But my daughter was sitting there playing Candy Crush and on her phone. And I said, hey, watch this for a minute. And she's like, okay. So I give it to her and I'm like, so what do you think? She's like, oh, that was cool. So I said, would you rather keep watching that or keep playing your game? She said, play my game.
Yeah.
So
that's fair. That's fair.
And then, because this was, I guess this was before the Bears game, because like she wanted to watch the Bears game and that whole thing because I think she's a Bears fan. And that was,
they're finding new ways to lose, man. Just new ways to
torture.
Lose. Like, defensive tackle intercepts at the goal line. That was a couple of weeks ago. And they're
Tim, I don't need a Roku. I've got DirecTV and I've got all these subscriptions. I don't need another whatever to watch. Now, is that how I watch ESPN Plus, like on my TV, is if I have a Roku?
That's what I have. And that's how I watch all my streaming stuff on my TV. All right. So I have a box
problem
upstairs
with the streaming services. We've got a million of them.
Right.
But like we've got so many now. I told my wife, it's like, okay, now we need to buy, because we've only got one smart TV and it's in the living room.
Yeah.
But when you've got all these sports now going to all these different streamers, I said, we're gonna have to get a second smart TV at some point.
You either do that or you spend the couple of bucks on the Roku box and just plug it in your HDMI. Because my upstairs TV is not a smart TV and the Roku is plugged into that. That's how we watch all of our streaming.
So what exactly is the Roku? TV. Explain the Roku.
It's just it makes your TV a smart TV. It's basically what it is. Yeah.
So you can just like plug it into the TV and you can get all those like put all your download your streaming apps in it. Okay.
Yep. That's how and then my downstairs TV is a Roku TV. It's just all built in.
Maybe Tim, I stand corrected. I guess I never realized what exactly the Roku was, but
yeah, it was not. I mean, like I said, it turns my regular TV into a smart TV, essentially.
All right.
So it's worth it.
Brian said it's smart TV for dumb people.
I mean,
consider your audience here. Does Fubo, you might know this better than me, does Fubo televise the Notre Dame home games?
It does, because it has NBC. So, yeah. Yep. That's how I watch the game, honestly. Because I always bring my iPad up to the press box. And so I've got the game on. I do it through Fubo. Because we have that through Driscoll Publishing.
Yes. I have... John says he's got a dumb TV. I've got a couple of dumb TVs.
Yeah, exactly.
What was I going to say? I need to fire up my Fubo account. I still haven't used it because, again, it's like I'm in the house for almost everything, so I haven't had an actual need for it. But I suppose I'm going to be traveling with basketball here pretty soon. That Fubo will probably come in handy, I would imagine.
That's how I had the 3 monitors going at work on Saturday, watching some college football while I was supervising the JV volleyball tournament. Was through Fubo. Just pulled it up on all the different screens, and I had college football everywhere. It was great.
Yeah. See, here's the thing: is like, my daughter, she watches from the main living room, but of course I don't have YouTube TV, but I've got the Sunday Ticket, but it's on regular YouTube. But like that TV is the only TV where I can put it up. So it's like it's a big, my desire to watch the Bears is not.
It.
They actually look good for about 3 quarters.
I was like, all right, here comes the offense.
Quarter, yeah. Fourth quarter, they figured out they were the Bears, and away it went.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
All right, well, that's going to do it for tonight. Appreciate you being here. We will, of course, be back tomorrow and the rest of the week with plenty more for you. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe, rate, and review. By the way, I'm just going to mention this right away because my 2 whatever co-hosts, Jesse and Vince, can't be here Wednesday. So I've got a big surprise for you on Wednesday. Should I let it out of the bag now, or should I?
No, you make them wait.
Should I save
it? You got to tease it.
Someone's going to be big surprise. Someone's going to be with me on Wednesday.
Nice. Is it the person you texted me that you were going to ask? Is it the person that you text? Okay, good. Yo, that's going to be a big. You're all going to want to tune in on Wednesday. As much as I think you all love me, I know you're going to love this special co-host.
Sean and Lou. No. I wish Lou Holtz.
Oh,
but no,
we would throw
that would be a lot of fun
at Ohio State on that one, man.
That's right. All right, so we will be here. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe, rate, and review, and we will talk to you tomorrow on IB Nation Sports Talk.